Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of stress, tension, boredom or worry to leave your body in your outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, just allow your eyelids to close. And as they close, notice you can give more of your attention to the sound of my voice. As you breathe in and breathe out, scan your body for any feelings of tension. And just decide that it's okay to release that tension. And to feel that you can release that tension in your outward breath, enabling you to feel deeper and deeper relaxed just by breathing in and breathing out. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a journey. I want you to imagine that weight loss is like a journey through time. And if you were traveling across Europe, things would happen one day at a time. You could have your intentions, you could make your agenda, your itinerary, and yet there would still be choices that you're able to make on any given day, on any given hour. The structure itself does not define the choice. You have the freedom to make choices, even if you have an idea of where you want to get to. And I want you to imagine that you are thinking about a future for you where you weigh 200 pounds or less. I want you to see the clothes that you'd be wearing, your body shape, how you would look. And I want you to imagine that there's the opportunity to gravitate towards that future. This is a realistic, probable future for you. And the way you arrive at that outcome is not a single choice, but the culmination of many different choices. Choices that become automatic and habitual. That good choices on one day increase the probability of good choices the next day. And when you've made good choices for a week, it's easier to look at the occasional not so good choice as just a one-off, a learning curve. Feedback that influences future choices. I want you to use the power of your imagination and imagine that you are in the historical Italian city of Venice. I want you to imagine seeing the canals, the gondolas, the magnificent bridges, the historical buildings, almost like you're traveling back in time when this was the center of almost an empire led by Venice as the capital. That you're tapping into that history just by being in this city. And as you focus on the surroundings in this beautiful city of Venice, I want you to imagine this is just one location on a journey in your imagination, and that each stage of the journey you will be open to powerful new ways of thinking about food and emotions. That actually emotional eating, in many cases, doesn't do what it promises to do. It's designed to help, but mainly it's just a distraction. And I want you to imagine that you are now on one of those gondolas, perhaps with someone that you care for and love. And just imagine relaxing, feeling at peace, traveling down the ancient canalways of Venice. And as you travel down the canalways, I want you to accept that your relationship with food can change. From this point forwards, you will recognize that emotional eating is like a temporary band-aid that doesn't heal the underlying emotions. It doesn't actually deal with the problem. It just makes you feel better for a short period of time. I want you to get a sense that emotional eating can leave you feeling adrift in a stormy sea. You now embrace healthier coping mechanisms that guide you through challenging emotions with clarity and resilience. I want you to get a sense that sometimes in life you look for things to give you clarity on what to do next. But I want you to accept the suggestion that emotional eating is like a broken compass. You think you're going in the right direction, but actually it's leading you astray. You are now motivated to find true direction, to find that emotional fulfillment in alternative activities. I want you to think back in your life. Imagine you're there in that gondola thinking back to old friendships, and I want you to remember one person in your life that was pretending to be a friend but wasn't a friend at all, a false friend. I want you to get a sense that emotional eating is like that false friend, leading you astray, wanting you to fail, but looking like they're helping in some way. I want you to get a sense that you are not interested in false advice, temporary distraction. You're looking for how to access the root causes of boredom or stress. Maybe it's that you need a new challenge. Maybe it's that you need a way to solve a problem. From this point onwards, you now seek authentic ways to nurture your emotional well-being. I want you to imagine that it starts to rain while you're on the gondola. And I want you to imagine that you have an umbrella, but it's an old umbrella. I want you to imagine that the umbrella is full of holes. I want you to get a sense that the umbrella should keep you dry, but it doesn't. It's just something to do to make you feel like you're doing something when it's raining. And what if you imagine that emotional eating was a bit like that old patchy umbrella? Just because you're doing something doesn't mean it's actually helping. Just the illusion that you're doing something that keeps you busy, keeps you distracted. It would be farcical to imagine that in an intense storm of rain that broken umbrella would keep you dry, but at least you would be doing something. I want you to imagine that you leave the gondola and find yourself teleported to another city in Italy, the city of Milan. I want you to imagine you're there. You're there in the piazza, looking at the Duomo, a huge cathedral. And as you look at the cathedral from the piazza, this big square, you can see there's a galleria, an arcade of very fashionable shops. And I want you to imagine that you've made the decision to get yourself some new clothes to fit the new body shape that you are. But I want you to imagine you're walking in that galleria as the most desirable weight for you. And I want you to imagine that you're in a very stylish shop, trying on clothes, seeing the reflection of yourself in the mirror, seeing that slimmer shape, trying on clothes that flatter this version of you that reminds you of you from perhaps 20 or 30 years ago. And notice what it does for your confidence to wear nice clothes, knowing that every time you wear these clothes in the future will remember this moment in Milan, and it will represent that you are in control of your destiny and your body weight. I want you to imagine you leave the shop wearing those new Italian designer clothes fitting your body. And I want you to release the notion that emotional eating is helping you. What actually helps is to solve problems that cause stress and to give you sufficient challenges that deal with boredom. That you release any notion that food helps either stress or boredom. From this point onwards, when faced with stress or boredom, you instinctively turn to activities that nourish your soul, provide true fulfillment, understanding that food cannot fill that void. I want you to imagine you're still wearing that Italian designer clothes, but find yourself standing in front of the Acropolis in Athens, looking at that historical reminder of an ancient Greek empire. I want you to imagine of all the wisdom from the great philosophers that preached and studied around ancient Athens. And I want you to tap into the wisdom that exists within you. You know that food doesn't help deal with stress. You know that food doesn't help deal with boredom. And I want you to imagine you are unlocking the wisdom of the great philosophers within you, doing the things that actually help, releasing old habits, activating new ideas and choices, and feeling that in the same way it makes no sense to use a broken umbrella or a broken compass, it no longer makes sense to use food as a way of dealing with stress or boredom. Tap into that incredible wisdom, almost like the ancient great minds are sharing their wisdom with you, and it just doesn't make sense to emotionally eat anymore. I want you to feel like you're getting even slimmer. The weight that would represent the highest level of confidence. And I want you to imagine that you're no longer in Athens, but you are on a beautiful Greek island. Perhaps Santorini, with the beautiful bright white buildings and blue top churches. Or maybe the beautiful island of Corfu, and I want you to imagine that you're now wearing stylish shorts and t-shirts. I want you to catch yourself in the reflection of perhaps a shop window or a car window and see that your body shape gives you a feeling of pride and confidence. That this travel through time represents a journey of reinvention, reconnection, and that you are feeling more confident in your body than you ever have. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about making nuanced choices dependent on the variables. A slice of cake can be an excellent choice to celebrate a birthday, and an awful choice if eaten on your own to deal with boredom. An amazing pastry shared with a loved one in front of incredible architecture on a cafe with outdoor seating could be a great choice. But having a box of pastries all by yourself just to deal with stress could be an awful choice. I want you to reactivate an incredible feeling of discernment, that you have now the ability to make excellent choices proportionate to the future you desire. A future of health, vitality, confidence, high self-esteem, but also youth. And what you lose in body fat and weight, you gain in new energy levels and feelings of confidence and self-esteem that remind you of the you in your past when confidence was at its highest. I want you to imagine you're lying on a beach on a Greek island, enjoying the sun, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment of this incredible transformation that you've been on. A wonderful transformation that has seen you lose this weight and gain this confidence and be at the lowest weight for you in many, many years. And if you feel that wisdom has been activated, discernment has been activated, a sense of pride and satisfaction has been activated, and that this is a new you, that when you return back home after the travels in Europe, there's no going back. You feel too good being this new body shape to ever fall back into old habits that would only take away from this quality of life you've created. And if you're happy that this is not a temporary change, this is a change that sets a new standard, linked to a new identity, linked to wonderful emotions that mean that you meet your emotional needs through real solutions and not food, let me know by nodding your head. And then imagine you're taking a flight back, all the way back home from Europe. You can't help but smile to recognize the level of your transformation, a feeling of pride and accomplishment, and a feeling that you have an incredibly bright future to look forward to. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Feel like you're back in the present, accepting that this journey are just thoughts within thoughts, ideas within ideas, dreams within dreams, and you return to the present with the wisdom of the greatest minds, knowing that food is not a solution to emotional issues. And you have unlocked powerful resources. And when you know better, you do better, starting to count from 1 to 10, enabling you to be fully wide awake, feeling optimistic, looking forward to making excellent choices consistently. Starting to count 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.